on your blanket, and I've just folded my blanket from the rectangle one more time. Give me some nice height so that my knees can descend a little bit lower than they ordinarily would. And then sit up on top of your blanket. Rest your hands on the inside of your knees. Just notice which shin you have crossed in front. And then take a moment and close your eyes. And just start to establish your posture. So feel your two sitting bones wherever they are on the blanket. See if you can find the center of those two sitting bones and root those two bones down into the floor. And then start to imagine a spiral staircase ascending from the base of your spine around and around and around your spine. And as you build this spiral staircase, as you come into awareness of it, allow yourself to kind of circulate your spine with that sense of awareness as if you were ascending that spiral staircase. And as you circle your spine, think about using that energy to lift the spine up a little bit taller. And take your time. And when you get to the base of your skull, take the center of your skull and stack it right above your two sitting bones. And relax your shoulders away from your ears. And then start to breathe wide into your body. So don't just think about breathing down. Think about breathing down and out. So you're filling the container of your torso with your breath. And so right away, just start to breathe as deeply as you can. And start to slow down your breath rhythm. So we're setting this breath rhythm to a pace that we feel it's sustainable, it's sustaining our energy, it's nourishing our tissues, our energy, it's animating our physical body. And then we're going to take the next 3 breaths as deep cleanses. So breathe all of the breath all the way out of your lungs. And then start to breathe all the way in, filling the bottom of your lungs, expanding that breath to the sides of your waist, and then lifting that breath all the way up into the uppermost part of your chest cavity. Hold your breath there for a second. See if you can sip in a little bit more. And then open your mouth and sigh that breath out. Pause when you're empty. And then again, pour that breath in through your lungs, through the bottom of your lungs, filling up the sides and all the way up to the top. See if you can sip in a little bit more. And then open your mouth and again, sigh that breath all the way out. And then one more time. Start to bring that breath in and see if you can feel the segments of your lungs that are getting filled as they fill. And see if you can wake up even more of that lung tissue, even more of that proprioception as you fill and fill and fill and fill a little bit more. Hold your breath. Good, and then open your mouth and sigh that breath all the way out. Great. And now start to move around a little bit. So start to just circle your pelvis. It doesn't matter which direction you go in. So you're experiencing the back of your sitting bones, the sides, the lateral sides, the front. And just starting to notice, what do you feel in your physical body? Bringing that proprioception down into your pelvis. Good, and then start to circle the other way. Good morning, Dora. I didn't see you yet today. How are you? Nice to see you. isolate the movement to your rib cage. So see if you can start to circle your rib cage while you keep your pelvis more still. So you might feel the center of those two sitting bones. See if you can stay, and it's not entirely possible, but it's just a way to train our awareness in a different direction. So can you stay on the center of your sitting bones as you circle your rib cage? And then start to circle in the opposite direction. So there's usually one that feels a little stickier, a little bit more awkward. Probably the second way you went. Good, and then stop circling your rib cage. You can come to a stop relatively slowly. Good, and then melt your left ear towards your left shoulder. And then take your right arm and walk your right fingertips away from you onto your yoga mat. So you're getting that nice stretch down the right side of your neck. Take some deep breaths so that deep inhale can help you to stretch from the inside out. Great, and then you're just going to turn so that the left side of your jaw is moving towards your collarbone. So it's as if you could lay that side of your jaw down. So you're just angling that stretch slightly differently. Good, and then just roll your chin down so that your chin is in line with your sternum. You can replace your right hand on top of your right knee. And stretching a little bit through the muscles in the back of the neck. And follow your eyes, start to look forward and up. So you're going to look up at the ceiling any amount that feels comfortable as you inhale. And as you exhale, drop your chin back down towards the center of your sternum. So just do this really slowly. Inhale again, start to lift your eyes, lift your chin, look up, maybe look back a little bit. Exhale, let your chin move back down towards your sternum. Good, and then level your chin. Drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then take your left fingertips and walk them away from you on your yoga mat. Use your breath to stretch those muscles in the side of the neck connecting into the shoulder. Good, and then just angle the right side of your chin down towards your collarbone. Your gaze can be on your right inner thigh. Let your breath stretch you from the inside out. Good, and then roll your chin down so that your chin is in the center of your sternum. Replace your left hand on top of your left knee. Same thing, begin your inhale, start to look up, let your chin lift, look up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, drop your chin back down towards your sternum. Let's do that one more time. So you go any distance, any amount that feels comfortable in your body, that feels like it's unraveling some tension. And then bring your chin back down towards your sternum. Good, and then level your chin. And now you have the ability to circle your neck around and around. I'm just letting Sharon in. I don't know why it's doing a waiting room. Good morning, Sharon. Welcome. So we're circling our neck here, having just explored some of those movements in a little bit of a different way. These muscles are often the most sensitive. So really respecting how you slept, how much tension you've been carrying in your neck and shoulders based on everything that's been going on. Once you're done circling in that direction, go ahead and circle in the opposite direction and just start to feel that there's a sense of freedom, there's a sense of fluidity in those muscles. Good, and then bring it back to neutral and really feel what neutral is. And then take your arms and circle them all the way up. And as you lift your arms, imagine you could lift your ribcage up and out of your pelvis. Relax your inner upper shoulders down. And then shift your pelvis forward. So it's as if the lowest part of your belly button was trying to come towards your inner thighs. Release your fingertips down to the floor. And then walk your hands forward as you root down through your sitting bones. Now you might feel any number of things in this position, and every day is different. So for today, can you just breathe and see what is being illuminated by feeling that breath? See what you feel you're bumping up against at the top of each inhale. Good, and then slowly start to walk your hands back in. Take your hands behind you. Turn your fingers to face behind you. Extend your legs out in front of you. And just give your legs a little bit of a shake. And see if you can not just shake your legs, but also wake up your feet and your toes as well. So move side to side, up and down, just get things moving. Good, and then cross your opposite ankle in front, whichever one you didn't just have. I did tell you to notice. Good. And then this time, take both arms up to the ceiling. Same thing, relax your inner upper shoulders, but lift your rib cage up away from your pelvis. And then take your left hand down to the left-hand side, walk your left fingertips out, and start to side bend over, pressing down through your right sitting bone. Try to turn the left side of your chest up towards the ceiling as you turn your right pinky down towards the floor. So it's as if your shoulder blade was trying to cast shade on your armpit. We don't want to flare our armpit open towards the ceiling, right? Imagine you could pour that breath down through your right lung. Good, and then inhale, take both arms back up to the ceiling and feel as if you could even lift that ribcage up a little bit taller, even as you relax through your inner upper shoulders and neck a little bit more. Take the left fingertips down, or the right fingertips down. Start to walk your right fingertips towards the right as you root down through your left sitting bone. Try to turn the right side of your chest up towards the ceiling. And imagine your shoulder blade was like a ledge that could cast shade on your armpit. Pour the breath down through your torso, through your lungs. Good, and then inhale back up to the top. And then start to turn towards the left. And stay here for a moment. So as you inhale, feel your ribcage lifting up out of your pelvis a little bit more. And as you exhale, contract your belly muscles. So get as much of this twist as you can through your belly muscles before you create any sort of leverage. Do that one more time. Inhale, find a little bit more length. As you exhale, contract your belly muscles. And then this time, inhale for length. Keep that length, and as you exhale, right hand comes across to the outside of your left knee. Left hand lands behind you. Make sure you're still sitting up nice and tall. And you keep that same breath rhythm, that the inhale is still lengthening, and the exhale, you're still exploring, squeezing, bringing out your belly muscles. Good, look back towards the front. Take your left arm, take it up and around and cross it. So you're holding onto your opposite knee. Your left arm is crossed over your right arm. And then just stretch from your shoulders, your shoulder blades. So press your knees forward. Try to round through your upper back. And trying to separate the shoulder blades using the knees as leverage. Good, and then as you inhale, start to look up. Release your arms out to the sides. Inhale them up to the sky. One more time. Think about lifting the ribcage up out of the pelvis, releasing the inner upper shoulders, making the triceps nice and sharp. Stinky did make an appearance after all. Take an inhale, get even longer. And as you exhale, contract your belly muscles, start to turn towards the right. Do it again. Inhale, feel yourself getting longer. And as you exhale again, contract your belly muscles. What more can you find there? One more time, inhale, get a little longer. This time as you exhale, keep that length as you bring your left hand across to the outside of your right knee. Land your right fingertips behind you. And keep exploring internally from the tool of your breath. Good, now look forward again. Take your right arm, lift it up and over, land it on top of your left knee, and then press your knees forward, drop your chin towards your chest, and feel that stretch between your shoulder blades. Good, and then release, send your arms out to the side again, flip your palms up. Last time, inhale, arms all the way up to the sky. And now we're really elongating, like we've thought about this so many times, the rectangle of our torso. Good, now start to shift your pelvis forward so that your lowest part of your belly gets closer to your inner thighs. Then bring your fingertips down so we don't lose any of the length of the spine, right? The chest is still lifting from the inside out. As we glue the sitting bones down, we start to walk the fingertips forward. Deep and steady breaths like we established in the beginning of our class today. Great, and then walk your fingertips back. Take your hands behind you again. Fingers can face behind you. Extend your legs out in front of you. And again, shake them out, whatever you need to do. Back and forth is nice. Side to side, a little rotation. You can even slide your heels back and forth. Good, and then let's come onto our hands and our knees, and you can move your blanket aside. So we also have blocks for today's practice. I can't remember if I said that or not, but as usual, we have blocks. Take your hands, spread your fingers out nice and wide. Look at your palms. This is like a moment where you're coming into your movement practice. So then the shins and the tops of the feet are pressing down into the mat. You establish that foundation. And then start to move through a few rounds of cat and cow. Thinking about all of those segments that we opened when we were seated, the pelvis, the rib cage, and the cervical spine, the neck. And so the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis represent the bowls of the body. And we align those bowls on the line of the spine. So come into a neutral spine. Elongate your tailbone as you scoop your pubic bone in towards your navel. Reach the top of your skull towards the front of the room. And lift the heart up so that the heart is moving towards the interior of the shoulder blade. So we're not melting, we're not sagging into our arms, right? Good. And then tuck your toes under. And walk your hands about 3 inches forward and lift your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Keep your knees fairly bent for this first downward facing dog. With your knees bent, stretch your sitting bones up towards the ceiling. And when you feel that you can't stretch your sitting bones up towards the ceiling anymore, roll your triceps down towards the earth as you press a little bit more vigorously into your thumb and your first finger. So you feel the arms starting to get a little longer as you get a little bit more length into those sitting bones. And then start to press the front of your thighs towards the back of your thighs. So you press your quadriceps into your hamstrings and you spin your inner thighs towards the back wall. You allow your heels to magnetize down towards the floor. Whether they touch or not is not relevant. Look back at your heels and make sure that they are behind your second toe so you really actually cannot see them. Good, and then slowly start to walk your hands all the way back towards your feet. So your feet are hip distance apart, maybe a little bit wider. As you come to a forward fold, shift the weight towards the balls of your feet a little bit more. Clasp your opposing elbows and let the weight of your skull magnetize down towards the earth. Knees are bent here. Knees are bent. And so with the knees bent, what I want you to think about doing is engaging your quadricep muscles so you're lifting the kneecaps up. So the legs might start to straighten, but the knees are certainly not pushing backwards, right? We're more like lifting them up. Good, and then release your fingertips down to the floor. As you inhale, lengthen your chest forward, lift your heart. And as you exhale, fold back in. Good, reach your arms around behind your back. Place your hands on your lower back. And send a few breaths into your palms, into your hands. You can massage out your lower back a little bit, maybe get a little bit into the tops of the glutes. And then continue massaging all the way down your legs. Take your time. Whenever you're ready, whenever you're done massaging, and it doesn't have to be now, cross your weird elbow on top. Clasp your opposing elbows again, and again, let the weight of your skull magnetize down towards the earth. Let your shoulders release. Shift the weight more towards the balls of your feet, and then see if you can lift those kneecaps up a little bit higher this time. Good. Release your fingertips back down to the floor. As you inhale, reach your chest forward. And as you exhale, fold back down. And then slowly start to walk your hands forward. So you're going to pass through downward facing dog. Try to keep the weight back in your legs for as long as you can. And then eventually you shift forward into your plank pose. So you stack the shoulders above the wrists. Press down through the inner palms, elongate through the inseams of your arms. Lengthen your tailbone as you scoop your pubic bone up towards your navel and lift the sides of your waist up. Again, bring your heart towards the interior of your shoulder blades. So your shoulder blades are not pinching. Pitch forward onto your tippy toes. Take a big inhale and super slow motion, whatever that is for you today. Lower the belly down to the floor. You always have the option to place the knees down. As you're lowering, think of passing through that chaturanga position. Once you land, flip your feet over, press the tops of your feet down into the mat. Take your hands out onto the wider than your mat, so your fingertips are down on the floor in line with your shoulders. The elbows are bent. And then start to lengthen your forehead, nose, chin, and chest up away from the floor. So your sternum starts to grow taller. Reach back through your toes. Press your pubic bone down into the mat. And see if with your breath, you can start to feel energy coiling, uplifting the uppermost part of your spine. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, release it back down. Good. Place your hands directly underneath your elbows. So we're going to keep our knees down here. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, press yourself to a modified push-up position. Tuck your toes under and lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, shift forward to the top of a push-up. Drop your knees back down to the ground, so you're back in that modified position. As you exhale, lower halfway down, so your elbows just barely graze the sides of your body. Scoot the front of your shoulders away from the mat. Good, and then press yourself back up as you inhale. As you exhale, lower yourself halfway down. So we're looking for like a 90-degree angle in your elbows. Inhale, press back up. And this last time as you exhale, lower yourself all the way down to the mat again. And as you inhale, baby cobra, let it start to open up. As you exhale, roll it back down. Take an inhale. As you exhale, shift your hips back into a child's pose. As you inhale, shift your shoulders forward again. Tuck your toes under. As you exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. As you inhale, shift forward to the top of a push-up. You can drop your knees if you want to. As you exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. As you inhale, let it open up, baby cobra or upward facing dog. As you exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. One more time, inhale, shift forward to the top of the push-up. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down, drawing your belly muscles in as you lower. Inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. So you might have already just built some heat just doing that. Allow this downward facing dog to be a cooling posture. As you root down through the fleshy part between your thumb and your first finger, see if you can lift the underside of your arms. See if you can make your forearms more buoyant. And lift the pubic bone up higher towards where the back wall and the ceiling come together. Great. And then slowly walk your hands back towards your feet again. Feet are hip distance apart, knees can be soft. Circle your arms around behind your back. You can either place your hands on your lower back again, like we did before, or interlace your fingers. And if you're interlacing your fingers, start to lift your shoulder heads away from the floor. Start to magnetize your knuckles up towards the ceiling as the top of your skull magnetizes down. Then start to see if you can lift the kneecaps by engaging the quadriceps, even here. If you have your hands on your lower back, go ahead and keep massaging. If you want to get there from interlace, that's fine. Eventually we land with our fingertips on the floor in front of us. Inhale, lift your chest. And exhale, fold it back down. Bring your hands to your hips, and as you inhale, rise all the way up. And as you exhale, Tadasana, release your fingertips down towards the floor. And just take a moment to feel the bowl of your pelvis, the bowl of your rib cage, and the bowl of your skull equally stacked on top of one another. And the line of your spine is energized, right? The purpose of our practice is to one of the purposes of our practice is to energize our spine. Great, so step to the front of top of your yoga mat. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. Catch a hold of your left wrist, and as you exhale, side bend towards the right. Same thing like we did in the beginning. Imagine the left shoulder blade is trying to cast shade on your armpit as the right side of your chest tries to look up towards the ceiling. Good. Inhale back up to the top, switch your wrists, and as you exhale, side bend towards the left, pressing down through your right foot. Just opening up that right lung. Good. Inhale back up to the top. Release your wrist, turn your palms to face one another. Soften your inner upper shoulders, but make your triceps sharp. And then bring your palms together, look up, and as you exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Great. Release your hands down again, and step your feet out wide on your yoga mat. Yeah? So your toes are going to be turned out a little bit, 45 degrees or maybe a little bit less. Lift your arms up again. Good. Now we're going to draw those big, last night was the full moon, so we're going to celebrate by drawing the biggest, fullest moon you can possibly draw. So start to just move your body. We did a lot of circles in the beginning. Let's do some circles here, just exploring how big we can go. Just letting it feel good, finding a breath rhythm that works here for you. And then once you've done 3 in one direction, start to circle in the other way. See if you can really visualize the circle that you're drawing. And then once you've done 3 in this direction, pause when your arms are up to the sky. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your right toes to face the front of the mat. Turn your left toes so that you're at a 10 to 15 degree angle. Extend your arms out to the side and make sure that your ankles are landing directly underneath your wrists. Soften your inner upper shoulders. Extend more through the thumb side of your hand to elongate through the collarbones. And extend more through the pinky side of your hand to find more space between your shoulder blades. And then look at your right knee and bend that right knee so that it tracks right over the center of your foot. Now let's do things incorrectly for a second. I want you to take that right side of your pelvis and just kind of let it collapse down onto your right thigh. So just feel what that's like. Now imagine you had a golf ball in there and you're trying to lift the right side of your pelvis up away from your thigh. Take your right sitting bone underneath you so you create all of that support. And then interlace your hands behind your back. With your hands interlaced behind your back, you're fighting to keep that knee tracking over your second and third toe. Square your shoulders and your belly towards the long edge of your yoga mat. And glance down and make sure that your knee is now not pointing towards the corner of your yoga mat, that it's still tracking over the front. Good. And then once you have that alignment, extend your arms again through the thumb side, through the pinky side. Warrior 2. Find your breath. Feel the alignment of your pelvis, where your rib cage is landing on the top of your skull in line with the center of your pelvis. Good. Now press into the mound of your right big toe, straighten your right leg. And start to hinge forward. So you want to get the right side of your body as long as you can. I should have told you to bring your blocks a little closer. Grab your block, place it behind your right ankle. Place your hand on the block. Now a lot of times as we come into triangle pose, we start to collapse to the pinky side of our foot. So I want you to press down into the ball mound of your right foot as you hug your right shin underneath towards the calf. Extend up through the left arm. So find your tailbone in your inner awareness and make a long line from your tailbone through the crown of your head. Press your pelvis towards the long edge of the mat that you can see. Move the back of your skull back towards the long edge of the mat that you cannot see. Allow your breath to explore the shape from the inside out. Some of you might be feeling a little feisty today. If that's you, you can extend your left arm over your ear, making certain that the armpit or the shoulder blade is still shading the armpit. And if you're feeling especially feisty, you can reach the right arm forward as well, as if you were holding a nice big beach ball out in front of you. Eventually, you come back to regular old triangle pose. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Bend into your right knee and shorten your stance just a little bit. Slide your block 8 inches forward of your right pinky toe. And press into all 4 corners of your right foot to float your left foot up into Ardha Navasana. Right? So you're thinking of drawing the outer right hip crease towards the back of the mat as you're pressing actively through your left heel. So the left adductor, the inner thigh muscle of your left leg is active and working. Eventually take your left arm up to the sky. And some of you guys might want to work on balance. So you might want to take your right hand to your heart or reach your right arm out in front of you. And this might be plenty of balance, so that's totally fine. Good. Slowly start to bend into your right knee. Long lunge. You're leaning that left leg way back. Once you land, slide your block back behind your ankle again. Make sure you have heel to arch alignment. Brace your elbow and your outer knee together. take your left arm up to the sky and coming into Parsvo Kanasana, scoop that left arm forward so that your palm is facing the long end of the mat that you do not see. Take some deep breaths here. Keep rooting into the outer edge of your left foot. Good. Take your top arm back up to the sky. And then spiral it down. So you're coming into, and pivot to the ball of your back foot. So you're coming into a long lunge. And then start to heel toe your right foot out to the right. Good. And now walk your fingertips forward to the inside of your right leg. Let your outer right leg fall out over the right side of your yoga mat. You can always drop the back knee down if you wanted to. But the fingertips are forward. The big toe side of your right foot might start to peel up off of the floor a little bit. Some of you guys might want to lower forearms down to the mat or to the block. We're coming into our lizard pose. And then if you don't have your back knee down, drop your back knee down. Walk back up onto your palms, bend your left knee, reach back around with your right, and catch a hold of your ankle. And see if you can find that balance of opening up through the right collarbone at the same time you're opening up through the front of the left hip and the quadricep. Good, and then release your ankle. Circle your right arm back around. Lift your back knee up off of the mat. And start to walk towards the long edge of your yoga mat again, paralleling your feet. And make sure you have a block. You can just take your block and put it behind your left ankle here. The feet are parallel, so look at your second toes and make sure they align to the short edges of your yoga mat. And then imagine you can lift energy up through the inseams of your legs. As you inhale, lift your chest. And as you exhale, fold back down. And so we'll be here for a few rounds of breath. So just see if you can let the segments of the spine start to decompress. See if you can let gravity create more space for you. Good, and then inhale, lift your chest again. As you exhale, fold back down, bring your hands to your hips. And as you inhale, rise all the way back up with a long spine. Good, so you're gonna turn your left toes forward. Turn your right foot in so you have a 10 to 15 degree angle, and make sure you have heel to arch alignment, right? Great, so extend the arms out. Make sure that your ankles are landing right underneath your wrists. You extend through the thumb side of your hand to feel that elongation through the collarbones and through the pinky side of your hand so that you feel spaciousness between your shoulder blades. Now, start to bend that left knee and go ahead and just do it lazy, like feel your pelvis kind of like spilling out, feel your tailbone shooting back. And then start to lift the front of the pelvis up off of the left thigh. Think about a conveyor belt of energy elongating through your left inner thigh, but drawing your outer thigh bone back into your hip socket. Then interlace your hands behind your back, whichever would be the weird way for you. And as you square your shoulders and your belly towards the long edge of your yoga mat, glance down at your knee and make sure that it's still tracking properly over the center of your foot. Once you've established that, extend the arms again. Take a few breaths here. Just be present with whatever you're feeling. You don't always have to be doing something. You could just be experiencing being in this posture right now. You don't always have to make micro adjustments to your body. That's doing. Yoga is trying to teach us how to do enough so that we can be at our edge and then just be there. Press into the mound of your left big toe to straighten your left leg. Now you're going to feel your pelvis actually shift over your left leg. So long, long left side of the body. Take your hand down to that block behind your left ankle. And as you press your pelvis towards the long edge of your mat in front of you, move the back of your skull towards the long edge of your mat behind you. Find your tailbone and elongate the top of your skull away from that line. The pelvis, the rib cage, and the head are all in that same line. And then if you're feeling feisty, go ahead and extend your arm over your ear. If you're feeling extra feisty, you can lift the left arm up as well. If you took that variation, return to triangle pose. Bring your right hand to your right hip. Bend into your left knee. Shorten the stance a little bit. And then place your block 8 inches forward of your pinky toe and float up by pressing all 4 corners of the feet into Ardha Navasana. Activating that right inner thigh, but thinking about if you were wearing a stirrup on your left foot, how you would lift the energy up the inseam and the outseam of that foot. And taking your right arm up to the ceiling, and maybe playing with balance. Keeping your awareness on your back leg so that your heel is in line with your sitting bone. Great, and then slowly start to bend that left knee, reaching your right leg way back behind you. And once you land, slide your block back behind your ankle again. Make sure you landed heel to arch alignment, right arm up to the sky. And then scoop your right arm forward. Try to turn the left side of your chest up towards your right tricep as your right tricep turns down towards your chest. Take a few breaths here. Press into the outer edge of your right foot as if it was a flipper. Good, and then spiral your arm down. Pivot to the ball of your back foot. Heel toe your left foot out towards the left. Bring your hands to the inside of your left foot and then start to walk your fingertips forward. You can drop that back knee down. You want your pelvis to descend towards the floor. Whether you drop the back knee down or not, let your pelvis get heavy. Some of you guys, same as the other side, might want to play with lowering down onto your forearms or onto a block. So if you still have your back knee lifted, go ahead and lower it down. Walk it back up to your palms. Bend your right knee, circle your left arm around and catch that ankle. Can you still let your pelvis get heavy? Notice what's still holding in your body. Good, and then release your ankles, circle your left arm back around, tuck your toes under, lift your back knee up, and then walk your hands again towards the long edge of your yoga mat. Set your feet up so that they are parallel. Bring your hands to your hips, and as you inhale, rise up with a long spine. Good. Reach your arms around behind your back, interlace your fingers. As you inhale, knuckles move down towards the floor, collarbones open up towards the sky. As you exhale, you let your pelvis tilt over your legs, so long spine. Keep the chest lifting as you fold forward. Move the front of your shoulders away from the floor by lifting up through the inseams of the arms, extending your knuckles up towards the ceiling a little bit more. And feeling the weightedness of the top of your skull decompressing your spine. Good. Now move your fingers over so that your opposite thumb is on top. And then again, see if you can lift the shoulders away from the floor a little bit more. Good. Release your fingertips down to the floor in front of you. Let's just stay in this forward fold for a few more rounds of breath. Some of you guys might want to take a headstand if that's you, and you can do that safely. You can do that now. Otherwise, just let your body cool off. Feel your hamstrings lengthen. But keep the action of the inner legs. If you went upside down, gracefully start to make your way back. As you inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, fold back in, bring your hands to your hips. And as you inhale, rise all the way up with a long spine. Good. And then bend your knees in either step or jump your feet together. Good. Okay, so take your arms straight up towards the ceiling, just like we did many times today. As you elongate through the arms, the triceps face forward, you hollow out through the belly. Shift the weight onto your right foot and start to just reach your left straight leg out in front of you. So you're pointing your toes out in front of you. Notice if you tensed your shoulders. Good, now externally rotate through that left leg so your inner thigh is pointing towards the ceiling. Keep your right arm lifted as you catch a hold of your shin and place your left leg wherever you're practicing tree pose, wherever you want. Good, and then once you have it, take your top arm back up to the sky. Take both arms up to the sky. And same thing like we've been working on, the arms are sharp, but the neck is long. So I want you to think about sending roots down through your right foot as your branches stretch up towards the sky. This is all about our potentiality, our ability to stay rooted as we still aspire and rise. But sometimes a lot of negativity comes in, right? So we have to create force fields or boundaries. So start to circle your arms down. Flex your palms a lot. And pretend you're holding the walls from falling in. Good. Now scoop your arms forward, palms facing up. As if you could hold all of the weight of the world. Your shoulder blades pressed down your back. Good, and then bring your hands together in front of your heart. And then release your tree pose down. Good, if you need to shake it out, shake it out. Inhale the arms back up to the sky. So you're creating like a needle. Your body is becoming a needle, right? You're getting as long and as drawn in towards the center as you can as you continue to hollow out these valleys in your inner upper shoulders. Shift the weight onto the left foot. Start to reach the right leg forward. And then externally rotate so your inner thigh points up towards the ceiling. Keep the left arm stretching as you allow your right hand to help your right leg into position for tree pose. Once you have it, take the arms back up and think about that needle, that potentiality. It's as if you were stuck into the ground but striving for the sky at the same time. But the inner upper shoulders are soft, and the head is stacked right above the ribcage, which is stacked right above the pelvis. Good, now start to create that force field out to the side. So your arms are super active, you guys. Like every single muscle, you can feel yourself turning everything on. Hold the walls apart, as if it was up to you. But hold them up. And then turn the biceps up and scoop your arms forward. And just notice how much engagement it is if you were holding a board out in front of you. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. Beautiful. And release your tree pose down. Super nice job, you guys. Step back to the top of your yoga mat. You can move both blocks. Set your big toes up to touch, heels slightly apart. Bend your knees, circle the arms. Same thing, inner upper shoulders are nice and soft as the arms stretch and strive. Lift your pubic bone up towards your navel. Make sure your tailbone is, your pelvis is on an angle, so your tailbone is kind of reaching right behind you. Take an inhale. As you exhale, swoop the arms back, lift up onto your tippy toes. And then drop your heels down, lift your arms back up into a chair pose. And continue to sit all the way down into Navasana. So as you come into Navasana, your toes are right in your eye line. Hold onto the back of your thighs and use that to lift your chest. Imagine you could propel your heart forward from the inside out. And then reach your arms forward, or not, you can stay holding onto the backs of your legs. On your next inhale breath, lower yourself halfway down, Ardha Navasana. Imagine you could draw the two frontal points closer to one another. And as you exhale, hug your knees in towards your chest. Just breathe here. Good. Release your arms down by your sides. Take both legs up to the ceiling. And then lower your left leg all the way down to the mat, so your right leg is still lifted. Inhale, lift your left leg back up to join your right. And as you exhale, lower your right leg all the way back down. Good. Inhale, lift that leg back up to match the left. As you exhale, lower the left leg down. Inhale, lift it back up. Exhale, lower the right leg down. Inhale, lift it back up. One more time. Exhale, lower the left leg down. Inhale, back up. Last one. Inhale, lower the right leg down. And inhale, back up. So a little bit of work in the low belly, just a little. Bend your knees, reach your arms through the insides of your legs, catch the outer ankle, so coming into a happy baby, and rock yourself a little bit from side to side. Good, and then release. Drop the soles of your feet down to the floor, extend your arms out to the sides, cross the right thigh bone over the left thigh bone. And let your knees descend towards the left as you gaze towards the right. Good. Bring it back to center. Switch the cross of your legs. And let your knees descend towards the right as you gaze towards the left. Good. Bring it back to the center. Set the soles of your feet up on the mat, hands down by your sides, so the knees are bent. And we'll go through a few rounds of the dynamic bridge. So, as you inhale, start to lengthen your tailbone, start to lift your hips, reaching your arms back behind you. And as you exhale, lower your upper spine, middle spine, lower spine, and arms all the way back down to the floor. Let's just do that 2 more times, synchronizing breath and movement. And then this last time, inhale, lift the hips, reach the arms back behind you. This time keep your arms reaching back behind you and slowly roll down upper spine, middle spine, and lower spine. Good. Draw your knees in towards your chest, hug your knees. Lift your head and your shoulders up. Try to compress yourself into the tightest little ball you've ever made of yourself. Take a big inhale and hold that breath as if you could build energy by holding your breath. Hold, hold, hold. Good, and as you exhale, release everything, coming into Shavasana. So Shavasana as being that time that we take to make the slate blank again. To take all of the work that we did, moving through these postures and staying in that witness consciousness, that awareness of our breath and our experience, and now we get to release everything. And as we release everything, it's like having that little death, right? That little death where we can reset and start over. So we reset our energy, we reset our emotional landscape, we reset our mental landscape, we reset our physical landscape. So as you soften all of the muscles in your body, especially the sneaky ones, right? Like for me, I always seem to have my teeth clenched together or my lips pressed together. Some of you guys might have little tiny tension muscles around your eyes or in your forehead. Just start to release, start to survey and settle. And as you relax more and more of the physical body, allow your awareness to move into the center of your body. Imagine that you could spiral and spiral and spiral and spiral until you got to the very center of the center of the center of a three-dimensional like ball or sphere shape. When you land in the center of the center of the center of the center, imagine that that center was blossoming into the most beautiful inner sanctuary. And so that center becomes its own infinite landscape for you to find peace within. Fully release into your experience of inner sanctuary. So with the awareness that that infinite center is always there and can always open it up to receive you, start to make your way back. You can imagine spiraling yourself back towards the perimeter of the sphere. Perimeter could still be fairly deep within you, right? And then start to move your body, and that can be many, many, many different things. You can stretch it out, you can go side to side, stretching the sides of your body. It's whatever you need to recalibrate. And then eventually you can hug your knees into your chest, or you can roll over onto your side. Eventually we'll all meet on our side. Take a pause. And as you press yourself to a seated position, remember you've recalibrated. Remember that you're stepping into a new version of yourself. And come to a seated position. And if you still have your blanket handy, it might still be nice to sit on top of that blanket to close exactly how we started. So take a moment, feel the bones of your pelvis that are on the blanket pressing down. Set your ribcage up right inside of the bowl of your pelvis and align the top of your skull with the two sitting bones. Relax your shoulders away from your ears as you allow the collarbones to get longer. Lift your heart from the inside out. Bring your hands together in front of your heart and think of someone that you want to send some love to today. Someone who could really use your blessing. Anyone who might be suffering for any reason. from this open-hearted place, just find gratitude for something within yourself, for this moment, for this breath.